So a string is 10 dimensions.
A string is living in a 10-dimensional space.
Right. Okay. Now, why would a string be fundamental and not, because a string is one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And dimensions are just dimensions. Why can't there be another reality, maybe in which we're embedded, where the string is not fundamental, but a plane is what's fundamental?
Yes, and that's one of the developments in string theory itself. So when we talk about these membranes, the piece of bread or the card
so
in the
that's string
deck.
theory upped by a dimension.
And string theory takes you there. It's not something, again, that you put in by hand.
He goes wherever his equations want to take.
I gotta say, it's pretty fascinating.
Yes, I need to say, this is a purely mathematical undertaking.
It's all
Totally. Yeah.
Yes.
But the beauty of it is, you don't put things in from the outside.
Right.
You study the equations, and it takes decades sometimes, but you extract what the equations are trying to tell you.
So before we go to queries, what is the current state of string theory?
Current state is
health.
Yeah, I it's funny. I asked this question in a program to 3 string theorists, a World Science Festival program. I asked them, guys, grade string theory. How, if string theory was a student, how would you grade it? And the grades went from B plus. I think that may have been Nobel laureate David Gross. I could be getting their grades wrong. To an A plus, which was Andy Strominger, who is a string theorist at Harvard. And if you look at its theoretical insight into black holes, the mathematical insights that it's given started whole fields of mathematics. If you have any interest in the nature of space and time and what it might be made of, these are the kinds of insights that string theory is giving. So I'd say it's very healthy, but it has not made a prediction allowing us to determine whether it's correct.
Wow. And that's almost a violation of one of the most important tenets of a viable theory.
Yes, and that's why maybe you shouldn't call it string theory.
Oh, what should we call it?
Yeah, maybe call it the string hypothesis.
Okay.
Theory really should be reserved.
That's a more humble...
Yeah.
But the math makes it a theory.
Well,
No. The theory,
yeah.
For a theory to be a bona fide theory, it's got to not only account for what you see,
right,
or in an organized, coherent way, it's got to make predictions that you have verified.
Right. You got to be able to. You got to be able to
measure. If you have not predicted, then it's only one half of what's going on, and it does.
So we're using the word wrong, and I agree with people who are sticklers on that.
Got it.
But is that because? And I don't want to sound like a jackass, but what you just explained, I got to say, like Einstein had it easy. I'm serious.
Yeah, right.
Like Einstein had it easy compared to what you're just talking about.
I agree. He wrote down his equations, and within a handful of years, you could test it.
Right, because it's like, it's here.
Right.
It's It's around us. It's everywhere. Like you're talking about stuff that is. How do you get to it?
Right.
We've had problems, unsolved problems that have lasted much longer than these 40 years in the history of science.
Okay.
So it took a long time to understand heat. And energy.
That's very funny what you just said. It took us a very long time to understand heat.
No, we didn't know what it was.
The fundamental basis of it.
That's hilarious.
No, we didn't know. Is it some fluid?
A fluid, caloric. They called it caloric that could flow.
Yeah, and do you know where we did most of it?
Well, no, that's the air looking like the air is a fluid. The air is a fluid, though. That's not heat. But go ahead.
One of the main centers of experiments for this were cannons. Because you fire cannons, the metal gets hot.
Yeah.
So as it got hotter, they weigh it to see if it had more heat. If the heat was a thing.
Right. If it was like possessing heat.
Exactly. So we went decades and decades with other issues. So maybe I shouldn't be so hard on string theory.
Yeah, this is a pretty good place to have gotten. Let's wrap it up right here, folks.
Thank you. Good night.
And one last thing. I want to hear it again, just because it was so beautiful.
All right.
So beautiful. Just speak to me, Brian. Because it's sweetness to my ears when I heard you say, I think it was you, that the virtual particles in the vacuum of space coming in and out of existence as predicted by quantum physics, they are quantum entangled with each other, and that quantum entanglement are wormholes, and those wormholes represent the literal fabric that stitches together the universe itself.
Yeah, we were definitely talking about this at some point. This is
Where are we on that?
well, it's a beautiful idea. It really,
Beautiful.
It really comes from Lenny Susskind and Juan Maldacena and a whole army of string theorists who developed these ideas.
He came here, gave a talk, one of our evening talks at the planetarium.
Yeah, he's a wonderful book.
Very innovative guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's driven physics for decades. So he and Juan Maldacena realized that these quantum entangled particles, which Einstein really, in a sense, predicted in his EPR paper, Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen in 1935, may be connected to another Einsteinian idea, which he came up with 2 months distinct from that first paper, an Einstein-Rosen paper on wormholes. That is, two particles that are far apart can have a subtle quantum link, and that quantum link may be nothing but a wormhole yielding a shortcut through the fabric of space that in some sense makes them very close to each other.
And those wormholes themselves are what space-time is comprised of.
Yeah,
So the substrate of space itself would be wormholes.
Yes.
that's right. So
Wow.
Mark von Ransdorf, in British Columbia, Canadian physicist, realized that these wormholes may be the fiber stitching together the fabric of space itself, because he could show mathematically if you cut the quantum entanglement, the fabric of space pulverizes, it falls apart, because you no longer have the wormholes connecting pieces of space together.
That is wild.
Okay. So I'm going to keep watching that space.
That's great.
It's time for Cosmic Queries.
All
We
right.
should have some jingle or something with some animation.
Some animation would be good.
Cosmic Queries.
Right.
Questions asked by you, if you're a Patreon member, knowing that our guest today is Brian Green, the one and only. So, we have a starter question
Yes.
from one of our own producers.
Yeah, Tamsin, our producer.
Yeah.
Our taskmaster. Yeah. Tamsin wants to know this, Brian. If space-time had consciousness and could have a favorite movie, what do you think that movie would be?
I think it would be Planet of the Apes.
Really?
Oh!
That scene at the end, with the half submerged or sunken statue. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that played loosey-goosey with space-time.
Yeah,
To
it
go into the
certainly
future. There's another Earth, and that
Yeah, it
has
was
a
a-
different evolutionary path.
It was the first time that time travel really meant something to me as a kid. I was like, oh man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good one, man.
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes, the original.
The original. Forget about the other 75,000 follow-ups.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Return to the Escape from the Bride of the Planet of the Apes.
Finality of the Planet of the Apes.
You know what? When I went back and saw that film, it's actually quite deep, because the different species of apes had different
Yeah,
roles.
that's right.
in
Have a
the
caste
society. It's a
Caste
caste
system,
system.
for sure.
Right. So the chimpanzees were the academic class.
Right.
Because they're close. Why not?
Of course, they're our closest cousins.
Yeah. And the baboons were like the police. Right.
Yeah.
Well, the gorillas.
The gorillas
were
are police.
And
The orangutans are the elders.
the orangutans were the diplomats.
diplomats. That's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Right.
So
the politicians.
It wasn't politicians.
Yeah.
It was a caste system.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So our first few questions have been previously asked by our Patreon supporters, but you said I'm going to have to see what Brian says about this.
Oh.
Right.
So they were elevated.
So they were elevated.
Okay, it was
right.
above my pay grade
So
right
they
there.
they wrote in with a question, and you were like, "Let me get my supervisor."
So I punted it. Okay. I went to a go.
So this is Brian Berg. He says, "Hey, Dr. Tyson, Lord Nice. Chuck, you should be able to nail this one. It's Brian from Portugal." Brian, shut up. He says, Can you help explain the information paradox with black holes? My understanding is that quantum mechanics and Hawking radiation are at odds about this. One says information is forever, the other says information disappears when a black hole evaporates. Are we any closer to understanding how this can be? Thanks, and please keep doing what you're doing. We need real science to carry on, live long, and prosper.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Now, let me preface that a little more
Sure,
here.
please.
So, I was delighted to learn that the evaporation of black holes, the Hawking radiation, is the exact inventory of fundamental particles that went in, even though it's being conjured out of the gravitational field of the black hole itself, the energy density of the field. So I said, oh, so that's a total reckoning of ingredients. But if I went in as a DNA molecule and I come out as the various fundamental particles, the information is that I was DNA is gone. So no, there's no preservation of information there.
And that's what Stephen Hawking said. So when Stephen Hawking did his initial calculations in the 1970s, he came up with this idea that black holes could actually radiate through quantum processes, the production of particles just outside the edge of a black hole. One falls in and the other races away. And the question was, do the particles race away have the information content about everything that fell in, or don't they? He said they don't. My calculations show it's a thermal bath of particles, a vanilla, featureless bath of particles, no information inside of it. We particle physicists said, come on. Quantum mechanics doesn't allow information to be lost or destroyed. So if you're saying that, you're saying quantum mechanics is wrong.
Okay.
And we're not willing to go there.
Yeah, quantum is so successful.
Right.
That's you got to be ready for okay.
You got to be
corral.
somebody more than Stephen Hawking.
And this led Lenny Susskind again and Gerard de Tooft, who won the Nobel Prize, and various other people to spend 25 years trying to answer this question. And we believe, largely from string theory, that we do understand that the information does, in a very subtle way, come out of the black hole. Subtle quantum correlations between the particles that emerge from the black hole do carry all the information of, say, the DNA molecule that fell in. So you can recover all the information, we believe. Now, there are still mysteries that we're still figuring out, but just about everybody, including Hawking before he passed away, agrees that we believe the information does come out.
And
Preservation.
he had that
Preservation
with
of
somebody,
information.
wasn't it? Was it with Preskel? Or
John
was it-
Preskel?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
He was a postdoc when I was a graduate student at the University of
Okay,
Texas.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
Preskel won the bet then.
So Preskel won the bet, but Kip Thorne was also part of this, and Kip Thorne was unwilling to
Kip
concede.
Thorne is in our archives. Check him out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We interviewed him in his office in Pasadena.
So
Yes.
so Hawking conceded the bet that John Preskel said the information does come out, and he gave him an encyclopedia of baseball, a lot of information he provided him as the way to...
Baseball already has too much information.
Make-
Now you have an encyclopedia.
That's right.
of
It made good on his bet. I don't know where Kip Thorne stands on this. I don't know that he has conceded.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, and what's the business about the information being stored in the event horizon? Have you